Hi, I'm Nikki Turner, and I'm the care coordinator here at Parker Street Ministries. I discovered Parker Street in 2009. I had just graduated from Southeastern University, and at the time I was convinced that I was called to missions in Costa Rica, but God had other plans for me. That summer of 2009, I had a friend that was connected with Parker Street and just invited me to go with him. He was applying for a job there, and he said, "You should just come and check this place out." And from the minute I walked through the doors in the gym, it was during summer camp that year, I couldn't believe that this place had existed the whole time that I was at Southeastern, 3 years, and I didn't know that this pocket was here in Lakeland. And I was immediately taken with the staff and how they felt called by God to move into the neighborhood and be among the people that live in this neighborhood. And I just thought, this is what I thought I was going to go to Costa Rica to do, but it's here in Lakeland, and maybe this is something that I can be a part of, and praying that God would open the doors for me to be a part of that as well. So I came on in 2009 as a kindergarten and first grade classroom teacher, which was an experience in itself. Got to meet the families and the neighborhood, and from there, I met my husband, who also worked here at Parker Street Ministries, and I believe that God brought us together because we both have a heart for this neighborhood. And so that has continued through planting a church and coming alongside Parker Street as, again, a volunteer coordinator a couple years later, and now as a care coordinator, which has been a blessing to see how God weaved all of that together. Some of the families that I am currently helping today are some of the same kids that I had in those kindergarten and first grade classes, or were a part of the program then. And it has truly been a gift over all these years. And so to be able to see that they are still here and they want to be a part of what we're doing, to the point that they want to live in our residential properties. So we've been able to watch them graduate from high school, get jobs, start a family, and all the way we're walking alongside of them so that this next step for them is a residence. And so one of the things that sometimes people don't realize is one of the foundational things for change is to have a stable house, to have a place to land and rest for your home, for your family. And so being able to provide that as a next step to sustain and stabilize those relationships that we've been able to walk with them from kindergarten, from second or third grade, whenever we've been able to be a part of their story when they are in the neighborhood, that they are still here, and this next step to see where God takes that and what we can do with that. One of the things that we are coming to learn as I have this position and we are being able to provide housing for some of our families in the neighborhood is that it is an extra touch point for us. We've been building relationships for years, but this has kind of opened a new way for us to develop those relationships. It allows us to come up with plans of how they're gonna be able to sustain and provide to pay their rent. That's new for some of our families, and some of them it's not new, but they've had landlords that haven't cared for them well, and that's another touch point for us to be able to care for them in that way. And so through these new touch points, we're able to set up plans with some of our tenants. We have moms that are single and they care for their kids and they have jobs, and they have very, very little margin to be able to run errands or be able to pay for car insurance, these different things. And so sometimes those things pile up. And so we have been able to come alongside them and say, hey, you don't have a lot of space to do these things, but we're here together. We're here with you. What does it look like for us to sit down and walk through, stand back, take a big picture look at all that's going on in your lives, and what's the next step for that? So for some of our families, that looks like, I got a new job, but I don't have anybody to care for my child. So I can explore with them and sit down and we can set up ELC credits. It's a resource that's available to them here in Lakeland, but to take the moment to sit down and do it, when that mom sits down, there are 100 other things happening for her. So have someone to come alongside them to say, hey, I know that's what's going on. You pay attention to that and we'll walk through each step together, and I'm here with you and we can figure out all these different steps and things to work forward. We're constantly seeking other ways that people are providing resources so that we're not reinventing the wheel. And so we're networking and we're partnering with these other organizations, nonprofits in Lakeland, or things that the government has available to our families, benefit-wise. And so for some of them, as we navigate how to do life together, there's a lot of things that come to the surface that are exposing. And so the next step could be, a better job. A next step could be to get a nursing degree or go to school. But there are some things that are coming to the surface that unless we are able to help them work through those things, some of our families, they've been through a lot. And so a huge need is potentially mental health. So we have resources. We've connected some of our families with people that can provide that for them. So as we tie those things together with maybe at the same time navigating what do you need to feel equipped to pursue this thing that you've expressed to us? What do you need to equip you? You want to go back to school to be a nurse. At the same time, coupling those things, because on top of that, we could get you the job, we could help you go back to school, but if we're not pairing those things together, even helping them have a lens of the gospel and being with them, pairing those things together, they can equip you the same to be successful in those areas. So much of what we've experienced when we're working with families and single moms in the neighborhood is they express goals and plans. Something I like to do with parents or families when I meet them, they may need my services because they're behind on rent, or I am always inviting people to come visit me for whatever. My doors are always open. I joke that even if you got something going on, like with your kid and you need a moment, like my office doors are open. But part of those meetings, I often ask families, I often ask parents, individuals, where are you at? And where do you want to be? And as we start to plan where they would like to be and the possible steps to get there, I'm immediately taken aback by how much they take on a daily basis because they don't have that extra margin. As a single mom who has 4 kids, you are making sure that they get to school on time by yourself. You're making sure they get there if, you have the transportation or they are there to be picked up the bus. You go to work, you may get a call that they're sick. And so when you go pick them up and you're sick, your boss, depending on what job you have, your boss may be like, you don't get paid for the rest of the day. And you might be gone for 3 days. And sometimes that leads to them losing their job. Sometimes that leads to them being written up, and it might be the 3rd time. And so their job is you're a really great employee and I don't want to lose you, but these are our standards for our place of employment and I have to let you go. Those are the things that our families are up against, or their car breaks down. We have families that their cars break down and they don't have that margin of having extra money to be able to fix it. And so now they have to figure out how to get their kids to school, how to get themselves to work. And thankfully, we can come fill some of those areas for them if we know what's going on. We love to be able to do that for them, but it's still an extra layer of weight on them. They're carrying around that extra, not being able to get their kids where they need to be or themselves. We're also finding that medical illnesses are another really big thing that people are dealing with. They don't have that extra margin where they can miss work, but then they have to pay for things with insurance that's beyond their budget. And so at the end of the day, they're having to choose, can I pay my rent or am I going to feed my kids? Am I going to pay my rent or I'm going to make sure that I could cover this medicine that keeps me alive? And so that's what some of our families are up against. We also have families or individuals in our neighborhood, they really want to go back to school. And even if that time is available to them, the hours that's available to them to go back to school, they might not be able to find childcare. It's beyond after school hours. It's those hours overnight, even with some of our families, if they do have another job opportunity, if it's overnight, it's not necessarily an option for them because they don't have childcare for those times. Our heart is we're moving our families in a direction that they could have their dream job, or they are making significantly more money to, go on vacation and enjoy their lives, like enjoy time, make memories with their kids. It isn't that easy for them. It takes a little bit of time to get there. And we want to be a part of helping them get there and along the step of the way, but also along the way, helping them see that some of those things that they're desiring and that, like, they already have it. As I am meeting people in the neighborhood and explaining my role to them, I think it has been hard for them to grasp that someone is really sitting in an office waiting to help somebody else. I think that is not something that everyone has gotten to experience throughout their lives. Personally, for me, when I graduated from Southeastern, there were gaps where I wasn't sure where I was going to work, or I didn't have a vehicle, but I had multiple family members that were able to provide that for me. As we are walking with our families here and trying to be a good neighbor, some of the conversations that I've had with families in very, very hard moments is reminding them that this is a part of God's story, and I'm not really sure why he's writing this chapter. I'm not sure why this is a part of your story, but we get to be with you in it. We get to be a part of, we get to be his hands and feet, and we get to be alongside of you and remind you that he's near and point in his direction as you are trying to navigate what to do next. We get to be with you in that. We get to help in any way possible that we're able to in our finite nature. We want to do that for you. And that is, some people don't understand that. And it even takes a bit of time of building trust over these years of living in the neighborhood for people to really honestly believe it. These people are here to help me. She is asking me how I need help, and she really means it. If that means her coming to my house and helping with my baby while I am trying to fill out paperwork for insurance or my job, and then her walking through that with me to make sure that we both understand what it means as I sign that dotted line, that's what they're about. Like, that's what Parker Street is about. That's what these relationships are about, being able to do that. And it's been really beautiful to see those moments where people are able to articulate that back to us or tell their neighbors that Miss Nikki, when she said that she'll take you to the doctor or she'll help you take your child to school, like, she meant it. Or William, like, they will do that for you. Parker Street, when they say that they're going to support you, they really are going to support you. It's also a gift to look people in the face and tell them that when they've not experienced that throughout their lives, and not by their choice, but it's the point of time we're meeting them that God is giving them an opportunity of what's next, and we get to be a part of that. Getting to be able to do life with the families and individuals that live in this neighborhood, they haven't got to see a lot of friends or family members, people within this community be able to pursue what our culture might consider to be next steps in a career path or life. It's been a blessing to come into their lives at whatever season that they're in, and to remind them that their worth and dignity is not in that. It doesn't mean that it's not something that they will ever do because of what they're currently experiencing, what's currently in front of them, the challenges and the hindrances that are in front of them. We've been able to help families that, they don't have a vehicle. They may have recently lost their job. They have bills piling up, and that's when we get to enter their story with them. So to sit and say and to name all these things that are happening that are hindering them to even just get a job, we are able to say, these are the ways that we could help you in this. And I think when we're able to do that and it takes a little bit of that weight off, they're able to see a little bit forward, a couple steps in front of them. Before, that might have been foggy because they can't see tomorrow because they're not sure how to pay their bills. And that's a very heavy weight on someone when you have to take care of yourself and you really want to keep a roof over your head and you have children to feed. And so to be able to come into their lives and to do that, to open up their lens for to zoom out a little bit and say, okay, I have someone to help me figure out what to do for today. That opens up margin for them a little bit more for the next few days. And then we're able to take the next step. Okay, so we were able to find some resources to help cover this area through ALPI or Homeless Coalition or getting an early learning credit to be able to get a discounted rate for childcare. Okay, our next step is now you have a little bit of margin to search for a job. Okay, you got a job and this is what you're bringing in. So let's sit down and figure out what your budget's going to be now. Oh, okay, so maybe you are able to buy a car, or we can get you on the bus, or we can give you a ride. And to slowly see these weights come off of them to even get to a point where they're thinking, okay, maybe these things that I've been dreaming about are attainable for me. A vacation with my family, taking my kids to this place and not having to sacrifice our light bill. These things are possibly attainable because I've had someone to sit with me and walk through all these areas of my life and just recognize areas that I could have additional support to be able to dream a little bit more of these things, how I've been uniquely created. What does that look like in other areas of my life and my future? I think it's always a joy to share with our families why we do what we do. We feel called to be a part of the stories that he's writing for other people. It's a gift to be able to do that, to see what he's doing in their lives, to be a part of that. I think it is a blessing to be able to remind people that they are made in the image of God. I often end my time with families asking them, what is something I can pray for them specifically? And as we're praying together and we're taking those things to God, I always try to remember to end my prayer time that they would remember that God looks at them and smiles, and that God delights in them, and that God loves them, and God is near. That is a gift that I feel like I'm able to be a part of, and Parker Street's able to be a part of, even when we're not always saying it with those words, but we're showing it in our actions and the way that we care for all the children in after school program, and the way that we change filters in apartments and condos, the way that we invite our tenants to be a part of events that we're doing, create door decorating contests to really enjoy their home and then enjoy their neighbors. And that those are all great opportunities for us to be able to do that and to remind ourselves of that as well, that they are also a blessing to us in that way as we get to know them more and how God created them. They get to be a part of our stories as well. We are expanding our ability to house neighborhood families. When I came in 2009, that wasn't a thing, but immediately as they became aware, it was a huge need to be able to stabilize the neighborhood. And so to be able to provide housing for our families with a landlord that cares for them, but also I get to be a part of that and say, hey, you're living in this residence. These are all the ways that we are available. This is a way that I'm open to help with those needs that you have and be a support to you and provide you with additional resources. To be able to do that for people is something that is a little unheard of. And so as we are wanting to expand and do more of that, is exciting to me to see what God does in that, and having more families that someone is able to be with them and say to them, like, God loves you, he wants to be near you. And we want to meet these needs in any ways that we can, so that you can create a household and a home that's safe, a place of rest, a place of wholeness, a place of healing. We get to come alongside and do that with you. And so we have a couple families that we're doing that with now, day-to-day walking with them. But to think the ability to do that for more families, and what's that going to look like for the future for their children and their grandchildren, to know that family could look different, that neighborhood could look different, and the ways that God is going to show up in that is very exciting.